We have done our week in review show. It is time now for our weekend preview edition here on Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball, where we look at all 30 teams playing over the weekend, or Friday and over the weekend, I suppose. I think everybody's got a game. You know, honestly, I don't care if everybody's got a game. I'm going to talk about all 30 teams, whether they do or don't. But I feel fairly confident that every single team plays at least one time between Friday and Sunday, and I think the vast majority, every team? I'm being told by my non-existent producer that there's only like 1, 2, 3 teams that only have one game. So, yeah, we're going to cover a lot of stuff. And we're going to try to do it at a pretty brisk pace. I want to set out what we're watching for over the weekend so you guys know what to do if something happens over the weekend and we don't have a podcast to go over it. You know, we don't do a recap show every single day. I'm not going to be doing recap shows every weekend day all season long. That's too much. I got too many family things I got to deal with on weekends when the kids are not at school. And so this is a way to sort of get ourselves prepared, understand what moves we're planning on making, what's an actionable thing that could happen over this Friday, Saturday, Sunday stretch, or if it's Saturday, Sunday, or whenever you're taking in this podcast. And then what we kind of do with that information as well. First thing you got to do is hit the like button. Second thing you got to do is hit the subscribe button. Third thing you got to do is follow me on Twitter at Dan Besbris, DanBesbris, and check out our buddies over at Bet Online. They're the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting, people. They've got the earliest odds. They've got live in-game betting. And with all of that, Bet Online provides you with the action and the ability to watch the games as it's happening. What the largest selection Bet Online has of odds on everything. They've got football, they've got NBA, they got college basketball, they got hockey, they got UFC and MMA. Head to Bet Online today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet Online. The game starts here. Let's go through every single team in the damn NBA. It's a must-watch weekend. We're going alphabetically by city, because I don't care what day they play. This list should be fairly useful for most of the weekend. And thus, my hope is, of course, that this podcast then becomes somewhat usable, watchable, referenceable for 2 to 3 days, really. You can find the network feed on Twitter. Of course, that's Old Man Squad, and we are Old Man Squad Fantasy over on Instagram. Let's dive in. You guys know Atlanta's first. The Hawks. Here's what we're looking for with Atlanta. And again, this is going to be somewhat of a lightning round. My goal is to keep this show into that between 20 and 30 minutes long, like a quickie. You just like mark these things down. You can flip back to it if you need to. I've got some tweets out where we cover the same stuff. So if you have to reference it that way, that also works. The Hawks. Can Risacher do it again? Does he have an encore in the tank? I'd love to get an update over the weekend of what's going on with DeAndre Hunter. And if we do, and if he's playing, you probably want to put him on your roster. But I have no idea if his knee's going to be able to hold up for more than a game anyway. You guys know I'm still in the Okongwu camp, but we'll keep track of the Okongwu Clint Capela thing going on as well. I don't think I'm going to do anything with that over the weekend unless something really substantial takes place. Risacher, by the way, I still feel is more of a head-to-head guy than a roto guy, just because of what's likely to happen with percentages. Boston Celtics, Jaylen Brown, Luke Kornet. Keep an eye on health updates for those guys over the weekend and then what that means for a surging Peyton Pritchard and a streaming Nimias Queta, who I believe has a role if both of those guys are out. But if either one of them comes back, I think that probably dries up pretty quick. The Brooklyn Nets, we're watching Nick Claxton, who's slowly coming on. I can dig it. I don't think there's a whole lot to take away unless there's like some really weird thing that pivots, like if Ben Simmons suddenly plays 32 minutes, that's something to keep note of. But I don't expect that stuff to happen. So we'll just kind of home in on Nick Claxton and see how he does over the weekend. For the Hornets, with Miles Bridges now out a couple of weeks, who picks up for him? Is it going to be Trey Mann, who picked up for Brandon Miller? Is it going to be somebody else that we didn't see coming? And then Grant Williams. Is Grant Williams above the streamer cut line with Nick Richards and Mark Williams, no relation, both out? And as I do Chapstick live on air because it was bothering me, does the Miles Bridges absence have anything to do with Grant Williams? Could that impact it in some way? The Bulls. Zach LaVine's status is really the only thing you're keeping watch of there, and then what that means for Ayo Dosunmu. Cavaliers, Caris LeVert is on a heater for the ages. He's shooting 60% through almost 3 weeks of basketball, which means, I hate to break it to all of you guys, the laws of averages will eventually take their toll. So either we're going to get like a week where he shoots 8%, or we're going to get like 3 weeks where he shoots 38%. But either way, the cliff is there. I just don't know what the grade is on the other side of, is it a drop-off cliff, or is it like you hit it and then you're tripping and sort of stumbling down the hill slowly? Either way, if you've got the nuts, I don't, to stream Caris LeVert while he's running hot, you have at it. I will not have at it. The Dallas Mavericks, Derek Lively the second, PJ Washington, their health is kind of the only thing that's really hanging in the balance there. We know Klay Thompson has now fallen back to where we expected him to be. I don't think I have the balls to play Najee Marshall, but certainly Daniel Gafford gets a really nice boost when those two guys are out. I'm holding both of them. Denver Nuggets. Peyton Watson. That was kind of a fun first one. If he didn't miss 3 free throws, it would have been a really fun first one with the 3 blocked shots. He's going to hit a 3 ball. He's going to get steals. He's going to get blocks. I think he'll get some rebounds, hopefully more than the last one. Tough to get a ton with Jokic out there, but he's logging power forward minutes, so there's going to be a few. Can Christian Braun do it again? Yes, this is a bit now. I'm going to say this before every single ball game because every time I've said it, Christian Braun has then done it again. He's been amazing so far this year. Number 43 in 9-cat, and it's a deserved mark with a lot of stuff. Lots of stuff from Christian Braun. And then Russell Westbrook, and, we talked about him on some of our other shows. The Westbrook stuff is sort of teetering on, do we get the really awful shooting Russ? Do we get the Russ that's been better for 2 games? Does he get to the free throw line too many damn times? You guys know where I sit with this. I sit with this where I'll play him if I'm in a points league. I'll play him if I'm punting free throws, but not if I'm not those. The Detroit Pistons, Jalen Duren tweaked an ankle, and we know his ankle stuff doesn't tend to be super fast healing, so keep an eye on Isaiah Stewart. I think I'm in the camp of I'd like to see an Isaiah Stewart game before I act on it, which I think is fair, don't you? Sure, you can talk back to me. It's a real show. Golden State Warriors, lots of stuff. Buddy Hield, is his season opening heater is epic. Caris LeVert, that's a thing. At some point, that's going to run out of steam a little bit, and then we kind of wonder what it is. But obviously, with every good game that Buddy Hield puts up, you might be able to get more for him in a trade. So I would see if you can get like a top 60, 50 guy back. If you get a no, maybe you just roll the dice, hope that he has 1 or 2 more good ball games, then you try again. Is Jonathan Kuminga a drop? I think maybe. Is Brandon Podziemski a drop? I actually think maybe. Andrew Wiggins, what's he going to be when this season all shakes itself out? It seems like he's more focused. It seems like he's got more to do. It seems like the Warriors like having him out there for bigger minutes. So I'm inclined to land kind of on the hold side with Wiggins, at least for now, but it's not an indefinite call. For the Rockets, the only thing we're watching there is if the bench can kind of keep it up. They had a game where they logged a comeback. They had a blowout. So it's kind of 2 things in a row that went well for the Rockets bench. But what if we get a competitive game where the starters are the better unit? Does Amen Thompson go back to 18, 20 minutes? Does Tari Eason go back to 18, 20 minutes? Did they earn more longer term? I'm very fidgety today, and I know folks watching are wondering why. My back is really locking up. Usually I have an opportunity to do some light exercising or stretching before I do the 2 podcasts, but not today. I'm going to get through this one, and then I got to go lie on the floor. The Pacers. Benedict Mathurin's been a pretty good stream here with Aaron Nesmith out. And then Tyrese Haliburton. I do wonder, and we haven't brought it up since the first week because he's been a little bit better, but certainly not special level Haliburton yet, as he's kind of slowly climbing his way up the board. What would it take to get him? Because he's still heavily involved in everything the Pacers are doing. He just can't shoot. Can't make a free throw. Can't make a jump shot or a set shot. The assists are coming up a little bit, although they're certainly not where you'd want them to be either. And I just wonder, like, could you go get him for, Jalen Williams, who's number 22? I don't think you could get him for DeMar, Buddy Hield, Vooch. Like, these are first-round level guys, but I don't think you're going to be able to get him. Could you get him for Derek White, who's been amazing so far this year, but certainly doesn't have the, you can build around potential of a Haliburton? Or do you still have to go with a big name, like a Harden or a LaMelo Ball or something like that? And then do you even want to? I don't know. For the Clippers, there isn't really much to track with this team. Ivica Zubac, people are getting annoyed with him because he's shooting 62% high volume free throws right now. That's a number that likely, first of all, the volume of free throws probably comes down, but also the percentage probably comes up. I suppose it's possible that he just has a down free throw shooting year. I wouldn't call it probable. I would say possible. And he's actually made his last 6 in a row after a stretch where he went something like 6 out of 10, or he had a 1 for 5 in there and a 2 for 6. It's been particularly bad, but this is a 74% career foul shooter, shooting 62% right now. That's a huge difference maker in his overall value. Also, he's not blocking any shots yet. Not that he's a big shot blocker, but in 34 minutes a game, you'd expect him to get over 1. I didn't think that Zubac would qualify as a possible buy low because he's 17 points, 12 and a half rebounds. I thought that would have kind of dominated the conversation, but someone actually pinged me on social and was like, hey, should I be selling low? Should I be getting off of Zubac? And I was like, well, we're talking about one bad category right now because the rest of this stuff has been great. He's been heavily involved in everything. If you're punting free throws, and that's not the reason you drafted him. You drafted him to be a center that didn't force you into punting foul shots, and he's not getting to a league average number there. You're hoping for just sort of a small negative. But if you were, by some magic of the universe, punting free throws, he's been a 4th rounder so far. It's a one category issue with him at the moment, and it's one that I think partially resolves itself. The Lakers, how does D'Lo's benching turn out in the next ballgame? This is a question we'll probably have answered by Friday night, so you won't have to wait too long through the weekend. Grizzlies, down now. Ja, Bane, and Smart. The curse is on, but not Pelicans level. Who are the winners? I like Scottie Pippen a lot. I like Santi Aldama a bit. I like Jalen Wells not that much. Jake LaRavia only a little itty bit. So are there other names that I'm forgetting? Should I be going less, more? We'll get some data points on that here as well, but I would say Pippen feels like a very, very safe play in injury replacement land. Miami Heat, I had to dig to try to figure out what I wanted to do here, and I guess the answer is a Jimmy Butler buy low, and it's mostly because he can't shoot free throws right now. His free throw shooting's been atrocious. High volume, 73%. He's not scoring all that much, and that might not change a great deal. And this is the funny thing with Zubac, if you're punting free throws, he jumps past where he should be. With Butler, not only should you forget the punting free throws, this is a guy that you thought was going to be a big positive for you in that category, like a high volume mid 80s carry you in free throws. And instead he's been the same side on the opposite end of this, 73% instead of 85%. Butler, if the free throw stuff ends up anywhere near where we expect it to be, he jumps from 72 to probably 30. So is it a buy low? I don't know. Maybe. I would. Milwaukee Bucks, is Andre Jackson Jr. worth a look? He's slotted into the starting lineup now. And if he plays well, then you can go take a shot on it because we still have no idea when Chris Middleton's coming back. And we know enough about Chris Middleton to know that it just, maybe. Someday. That's all we can say with that one. Timberwolves. Timber Conley had a really nice ball game. I talked about this a bunch on the weekend review show as Conley being a hold. He's number 118, guys. That's a startable fantasy player. Yeah, that falls in the filler category. But 5 assists, only 1 turnover. Really good. Yes, I pronounced it turnover. Like I'm embodied by the spirit of my deceased grandmother from Crown Heights in Brooklyn. Mike Conley is shooting 34% right now. And everybody's like, he's washed. Yeah, he's an NBA player. He ain't going to shoot 34%, and a pretty good one. And I would venture to guess that as the field goal percent comes up and he gets out of this little rut, the other stuff probably comes with it. And I don't know that he's going to play 27, 28, whatever minutes again this year. That number might come down. I think that was part of the expectation. But 25, 26 is still enough for him. And frankly, even 24 is enough if the field goal percent was where we expected, and then he'd be inside the top 100. So Conley's a hold. Dante DiVincenzo is a hold also. Dante's a little bit scarier, I think, because he's not going to get the assists that Conley does. He'll get more steals most likely, and he's a bad percentages guy in both. So he needs a bit more volume to sort of clear that threshold. I would expect DiVincenzo to shoot about 4-ish percent, 4 or 5% better. So not quite the big jump that Conley's about to take. And maybe that gets him to around the top 100, which I think is probably enough to hang on, especially if Conley goes down or if Anthony Edwards happens to miss any ball games or if Jaden McDaniels misses any ball games. There's all these ways that Dante could get a little bit more, and that's maybe the best argument for hanging on. The Pelicans, my lord, good God, the injuries. CJ McCollum, Trey Murphy, DeJounte Murray, Herb Jones, and Jordan Hawkins now as well, who's been ruled out for a couple of weeks. So the Jose Alvarado stream is in full swing. The Brandon Boston stream appears to be in full swing as well. And then if you wanted to, you could sort of keep a half an eye on Yves Missi, but I'm going to look at what he does, but I'm not going to be super worried about it. There's nothing really on the Knicks. I mean, Miles McBride had a good ball game. Someone asked me if Jalen Brunson was a buy low, and the answer is yes, but I also don't think he's getting anywhere near where he was getting drafted, and that was why we had him low on draft night. Because Jalen Brunson needs 25 freaking shots a game to get up where he was getting drafted this year. And that's not happening this season. 20-shot Jalen Brunson is like a top 40 guy. And so that's probably what you're eyeballing is, can we get him to top 40? But you're probably going to have to spend more than that to get him. So to that end, probably not a buy low, because I don't think you can get him cheap enough. I really would love to know, and this is the Thunder now, if Lou Dort is real or a mirage. He's impressive. He's been impressive. 2.4 defensive stats, 2.3 threes, and 49-92 splits. It sure feels like a lot of that stuff is coming down. But you might as well ride it while it's going. The defensive stats have been gigantic. The percentage has been very, very good. We know all this stuff is coming down. We just know it. So nah. For the Magic, who wins the center battle? Looks like Goga through the first two, and the minutes have been really high for Bitadze during these two games with no Wendell Carter Jr. The issue is that in 24 minutes, he's kind of fringy, and you need things to break your way. You need the big defensive stats in limited sample size. If he can get up into that 26, 27 minutes, that's what you're looking for. Those extra 2 minutes. That's the good stuff. Next page. Sixers. Does Kelly Oubre still get to do stuff because Tyrese Maxey is out now? I'm guessing probably. And then, Joel Embiid is going to be back early next week, so then we'll have another thing we got to worry about. And then what about a Kyle Lowry look? Do we want to bother? Probably not. But it might happen. Don't be surprised if he has an okay ball game this weekend. For the Phoenix Suns, is Yusuf Nurkic figuring it out, or was it a 2-game bump? He had a bunch of games where he was very, very, very bad, and now he's been pretty damn good for 2 games. I'm not sure which one it is. Maybe it's both. And then if it is indeed the good side, or the both side, what does that mean for Royce O'Neal? Is his job a little bit less secure than we thought? Will the Suns be going small a little bit less frequently? Is it opponent dependent? That's an important thing to watch with Phoenix. Shaedon Sharpe's back for the Blazers. He played about 20 minutes in his first game back. How does that ramp up impact guys like Tumani Kamara and Denny Avdia? We'll get some of that data over the weekend. Sacramento, I got nothing, because I want nothing to do with the shooting guards when all 3 of them are healthy, and then the other guys you're just starting. San Antonio expects to get Devin Vassell back this weekend. I don't think he'll play a truckload of minutes, so it probably doesn't change the team's makeup a great deal just with their Saturday game, but certainly as we roll into the middle of next week and his minutes start to trend up a little bit, that'll probably punch an irreparable hole in Keldon Johnson and maybe also in Julian Champagnie. So see what you can get out of those guys in the very near term, and then understand that there is a shelf life. And finally, 3 more teams. It's the last page here before we get to the injury board. Raptors. Anybody coming back? If not, you've got Davion Mitchell, Grady Dick, and Ochai Agbaji. But as guys return, you're going to see some of those streamers fall off. Like Emmanuel Quickly is probably going to punt Davion Mitchell, and Scotty Barnes probably punts any Ochai Agbaji value. And the combination of Quickly and Barnes definitely punts Grady Dick down the board quite a lot. Utah, we got Lauri Markkanen back in the last one. I think that might be the end of John Collins, but we'll see. Maybe there's enough for him there with Taylor Hendricks out for the year. And then how much do we need to worry about Colin Sexton? That's kind of like an everyday thing we're paying attention to. And the Wizards, last team on the board here. Do we stream Kaishan George? Or do I just stick with the more reliable names like Bilal, like Alex Sarr, and then with Brogdon and Kuzma both out, is Bub Carrington also in that sort of short list of useful players? And then how long does this kind of stuff stick? And Carrington be a positive contributor even after they get other point guards back? I don't know. We'll see. But right now, it does kind of seem like it's working. And before we go, let's pull up the Dan Bespris Super Google Sheet and the injury replacement board. Oh, boy. I want to give you guys, YouTubers, you get the full screen edition. This is so many names. Holy crapinski. There they are. Oh, my God. All right. So rapid fire. And again, if you're listening, watching, whatever, you have access to this particular Google Sheet. It's in the show description. You can just click the link. It opens up a bunch of tabs. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tabs, I think. 5 of those were from the preseason. In-season stuff, we're tracking player movement by ranks. We got the game-to-game streaming calendar, so you can budget your weekly moves better. And then this one, the rolling injury replacement board, which I haven't really gone through with a fine-tooth comb for Friday, but this is all of the names right now. And things will change over the weekend, so you'll have to make some adjustments if you just copy this and watch it. But if you keep an eye on my Google Sheet, I'll try to do those adjustments for you / with you. You'll get to see as I move players around from 1 burger to 2 burgers to no burgers to off the board, names that pop up and come on the board, and so on and so forth. And right now, there are, well, too many freaking names on this list. But let's crank them out real fast. Let's try to do this in 1 to 1.5 minutes, and we can provide maybe a little bit more context at another time. The 3-burger name is Norman Powell. He might go from 3-burger fill-in to like a top, 80, 100 kind of guy when Kawhi's back. But right now, he's a Goliath. 2 burgers, Peyton Pritchard with Jaylen Brown out, Jose Alvarado with CJ McCollum out, Grady Dick with most of the Raptors out. And you could maybe even make an argument that Davion Mitchell deserves 2 burgers. And you could maybe even make an argument that Scottie Pippen Jr. deserves 2 burgers. Those 2 guys are like 1.5. Oh, Jackson Hayes can come off this list since it sounds like Anthony Davis and Rui are coming back. There we go. We'll move names around while you guys are watching. So Pippen Jr., Davion, maybe those guys are 2-burger guys. Peyton Watson's a 1-burger. Rui Hachimura is a 1-burger. Bub Carrington is a 1. Julian Champagnie's a 1. And I think Kelly Oubre I'll leave in the 1-burger column, although 0 burgers might be calling his name. And on the no-burger board, these are the guys that are kind of a coin flip to have a good game or a bad game. Santi Aldama, Ochai Agbaji, Benedict Mathurin, who, maybe he's more like half to 3/4 of a burger instead of 0. Russ, Andre Drummond, Najee Marshall, Tumani Kamara, who might be falling off this board as we see Shaedon Sharpe ramp up. Kaishan George, Goga Batadze, who might get bumped up to 1-burger depending on how the Magic next ball game goes. Isaiah Stewart, Brandon Boston Jr., Grant Williams, Keldon Johnson, who again might lose his spot here, Trey Mann, and if we see him do really well in that first game without Miles Bridges, he could also move up to a solo burger. Zachary Risacher, and Nemias Queta. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think there's like 27 names on this list right now. That means there are a lot of players out. I mean, look at all the players in parentheses on this board. Kawhi, Jaylen Brown, McCollum, Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickley, John Morant, Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine, Kuzma, Vassell, Maxey, Smart, Bane, Neesmith, who's whatever, Embiid, Derek Lively, PJ Washington, Wendell Carter Jr., Jalen Duren, Jordan Hawkins, Mark Williams, Jeremy Sohan, Nick Richards, Miles Bridges, Bogdan Bogdanovic, DeAndre Hunter. Holy crap, that's bad. But hold it together is my request for all of you guys. Hold it together. I see too many tweets and posts that are like, I hate the NBA. Everybody's hurt all the time. Yeah. You're not wrong if you have that sentiment. There are a lot of injuries, but that means there's a lot of pickups. And you can stay ahead of the competition by getting the best ones, by the Alvarados, the Davion Mitchells lately, the Pritchards, the Grady Dicks, the Peyton Watsons. They're out there. Get these amazing top 60 level fill-in guys, and your team can rocket boost into the future. Into the future. All right, let's wrap it up. Weekend preview mega show. All 30 teams, all injury plays. Again, stay tuned to this board. I'll be updating it. I'm going to try to daily, provided I have a few minutes at home to do so in the afternoon. Some days I might not, but I'm trying to mark when I update it as well, so you can kind of see if I've had a chance to get it perfectly caught up with what's going on out in the universe. I am Dan Besbris. Find me on Twitter at Dan Besbris, DanBesbris. Like the show on the way out. Subscribe to the feed on the way out. And if you have a moment, Spotify and Apple listeners, please, that 5-star review is a big deal, and I will love you forever. Have a lovely weekend. I don't believe we're going to drop a show on Saturday. We will have our Week 4 preview show falling into your laps at some point over the weekend. And the only way you're going to get that is by subscribing. So yet another reason to click that very simple to find button. As I'm realizing, looking at the camera with the light on me, I have some sort of stain on my shirt. And that is life with 2 young boys. That's it. I'm out. Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you when we see you.